We've been talking about much of the local issues, and much of that rests on the issue of rail, and I think it will have a lot of repercussions. So as you speak of rail and the prior vote that had been taken, which was won by those supporters of rail, do you stop any further discussion and just go along with the fact that the vote had been taken, and so we are committed to that direction? Or is it fair to open the question and ask about the fairness of the vote? When one gives one's consent, there's an implication that behind the consent was an informed consent. A consent gathered by lack of information or abuse of the information process, or in which a party had been defrauded into given the consent, really does not constitute anymore, for legal purposes, consent. And I think for ethical purposes, one would also want to take a look. The question is, was the consent given through that vote that was conducted by the Hanneman administration informed consent? Was the public informed? If the public was not appropriately informed, then it would be ethically a violation to even suggest that there was an approval, there was consent given, because it was not given knowingly. So that raises the question, which is part of the lawsuit that Ben Cayetano and several others have brought in the federal courts to determine whether or not the information that is being given to the general public had been given in a timely way, so that you could not confirm or tie down consent given if it was not timely, which draws back into the discussion Mufi Hanneman and his representations in the campaign that he is raising, his concerns about the environment and caring for the environment, and other people are saying he's the worst one. What was that? Was it the Sierra Club who announced that it's a pile of rubbish that he's coming out about his concern for the environment? Other people are going along with the ads that he is putting out. Sometimes we don't question advertisements, and there's all these lies, this misinformation. Just recently on that news period, which is not really news, at the top of the hour on this radio station and many other radio stations where they purchase in packages what is supposedly the news, and most of it are commercials. There was one about federal employees, and they all take an oath to defend their country and to support the appropriateness of their country. Well, just in that, what we have in this morning's newspaper is a disclosure that is occurring with regards to the FDA tracking its critics in a very intense surveillance effort. The government of the United States, the great surveyor, it's like someone compared it to a vacuum cleaner sucking up all information that they can get on its citizenry. Well, in this particular case, the FDA said to be tracking 5 of its scientists from within the FDA, ended up expanding the search. The article that comes out of the New York Times, and it appears in this morning's paper at page A3. This is the Star Advertiser. And it says, a wide-ranging surveillance operation by the Food and Drug Administration against a group of its own scientists used an enemies list of sorts, as it secretly captured thousands of emails that the disgruntled scientists sent privately to members of Congress, lawyers, labor officials, journalists, and even President Barack Obama. Previously undisclosed records show. What began as a narrow investigation into the possible leaking of confidential agency information by 5 scientists quickly grew to mid-2010 into a much broader campaign to counter outside critics of the agency's medical review process, according to the cache of more than 80,000 pages of computer documents generated by the surveillance effort. Moving to quell what one memorandum called the collaboration of the FDA's opponents, the surveillance operation identified 21 agency employees, congressional officials, outside medical researchers, and journalists thought to be working together to put out negative and, quote, defamatory information about the agency. FDA officials defended the surveillance operation, saying that the computer monitoring was linked to the 5 scientists suspected of leaking confidential information about the safety and design of medical devices. The FDA, using so-called spy software designed to help employers monitor workers, captured screen images from the government laptops of the 5 scientists as they were being used at work or at home. The software tracked their keystrokes, intercepted their personal emails, and copied the documents on their personal thumb drives, the documents show. The extraordinary surveillance effort grew out of a bitter dispute lasting years between the scientists and their bosses at the FDA over the scientists' claim that faulty review procedures at the agency had led to the approval of medical imaging devices for mammograms and colonoscopies that exposed patients to dangerous levels of radiation. A confidential government review in May by the Office of Special Counsel, which deals with the grievances of government workers, found the scientists' medical claims were valid enough to warrant a full investigation into what it termed a substantial and specific danger to public safety. The documents captured in the surveillance effort were posted on a public website, apparently by mistake, by a private document handling contractor that works for the FDA. And it goes on and on. So, hearing that news and listening to what propaganda that just played at the end of, or at the ending portion of the news that we heard on this radio station, you see the kind of manipulation that continues to go on, and that falsity that appears to be the truth, and yet when you compare it, you find that it's all over the place. It's funny, and yet it's so dangerous. On one hand, people are supporting whistleblowers against agencies that are so powerful, and there are federal laws protecting whistleblowers, and yet here, even within FDA, the kind of tracking, the kind of intervention into the privacy of people's lives and picking up on their communications, the system seems to be out of control. Now, our telephone number is 524-1080. I know we've moved a little beyond rail, but it is sort of indicative of the situation that we now have going on in the system, in the society. There have been other debates that have taken place, both in the congressional debate with regards to the position for representative to the U.S. Congress to substitute for Mazie Hirono's position. And in that one, I think it was Mufi Hanneman, Esther Kia-Aina, Barb Marks, and Tulsi Gabbard. It's very interesting. Tulsi had changed her position with regards to same-sex marriages. Previously, she was a very staunch opponent of gay and lesbian liberation civil unions and all of those things. She and her father and her mother, all three politicians. The mother, I believe, ran and was elected to the Board of Education prior to the switchover of appointees by the governor. Mike Gabbard, her father, had served in the state legislature, then went to the council, and then now back at the legislature. Gabbard has served in the state legislature, now at the council, and trying to step up into the position of representative. She says, and it seems very unusual for a politician to say so, she says she changed her mind, that she now supports same-sex marriages, and she is in line with Obama's representation of his support, although it's not a federal question, but he supports the gay and lesbian marriage or same-sex marriage. Gabbard, changing her position, is getting slammed by who's that? Esther Kia'aina, for Esther's not being sure on what her stand is. And I think there's a lack of complete honesty on the side of Kia'aina, in that Gabbard has said, my position is this. I changed it from where it had been, what is that, 8 years ago. And so it's I can understand it's a commentary that Kia'aina is making, but not an uncertainty as to what her stand is. The stand has changed. Now, if Kia'aina is saying stands should never change in the political life of an individual, then I think she's absolutely wrong. I think she is correct in being able to comment on the fact that the position has changed. But Gabbard is saying, I changed my position. I feel a different way. And she comes out to explain why she feels this way, because of her actual experience in working with gays and lesbians during her time in the U.S. military. I don't believe that it is a fault of a politician to change their position. I think it is more a fault of a politician to refuse to change, having taken a position publicly and believing that once taken, one's position cannot change. And along with that, I think it would be equally a fault to, having changed one's position, not publicly announcing that change in position. And I think in this case, Gabbard was appropriate in her change of position. On top of that, I personally support the same-sex marriages, and so I support that position. So that may color my way of seeing it. I don't know, you decide that. But that had been a very interesting debate that took place. I had not watched the full debate, but I had understood that, and yet Kia'aina did a very excellent job for herself in terms of going after the voting records and the presence of Gabbard. And I think it was partly Hanneman that she pointed out their failure to attend to their business while they were in various offices. So I thought that was a positive move that she had taken. Bob Marks, I really have no conclusion, and not having watched the whole debate, I would refrain from making any further remarks about that. But you can go ahead if you want, if you had seen that debate or have any opinions on that matter. Okay, where else shall we go? Well, there's an interesting Republican attack against now the judiciary, and that is, I shouldn't say a Republican attack, an attack by Senator Jeff Sessions of Alabama and Senator Chuck Grassley of Iowa, and they are questioning the holding of an August conference at a far-flung island paradise. And this is their protest being sent in a letter just this past Friday to the Chief Judge of the Ninth Circuit of the U.S. Circuit Court. Where is this far-flung island paradise? And now I really should play a song about Maui. It is the island of Maui. The article that comes out of Associated Press, written by Jennifer Kelleher, says political controversy persists over a conference plan for federal judges on Maui, with 2 Republican senators calling for the event to be canceled or at least scaled back. During this time of extraordinary debt and given the history of opulence, including repeated trips to the Hawaiian Islands, we believe you should cancel the $1 million conference. Their letter said, failing that, ample opportunities to scale back costs at this event and at future conferences remain. The conference also was held on Maui 2 years ago, in Honolulu in 2007, and on Kauai in 2003. It's also been held on Kauai in 1977 and 1983. In 1987 on Hawaii Island, and on Maui in 1991. So it's somewhat spaced over a number of years, maybe, what is that, 7 years apart. And then more recently, 2 years ago in 2007, so that would put it, 5 years ago. The court, one step below the Supreme Court, has said the gathering will be for serious business meetings and that the venue is within the circuit's jurisdiction. The court serves Alaska, Arizona, California, Hawaii, Idaho, Montana, Nevada, Oregon, and Washington, as well as Guam and the Northern Mariana Islands. Anyway, the court folks are saying no, they're going to continue with it. Chief Judge Alex Kozinski wrote to the senators last month that Maui was picked for its competitive room rates and cheaper travel costs because of the number of airlines serving Hawaii. He wrote that at $230 per night, the Hyatt Regency Maui Resort and Spa compares favorably with similarly sized hotels in Anchorage, Alaska, and Sun Valley, Idaho, as well as several California destinations. So they're going to hold it in Maui. Any comments? You're welcome to call. Our telephone number here is 524-1080. Let's go to our telephone caller. Aloha caller, welcome to the program.
Hello?
Yes, hello caller, you're on the air.
Wow, hi, aloha.
Hi, aloha.
You coming in real weak.
Oh, is that right? Okay.
Yeah, yesterday I thought of your program again, and the callers were also mentioning that you can hardly hear you.
Yeah, on the telephone. How about on the radio? Is
the radio's been okay.
Okay.
But I'm in Waimanalo, and the Marines are also
monitoring.
They're attacking Hawaii again. Yeah.
Yeah.
With the impact. Yeah.
That's correct.
Yeah, you've been invaded again. Yeah. I don't know if it. No, I can't say it again, I guess, because they never left it. They're still here.
But now they have joined, they have invited everyone else to come and bombard areas of Hawaii.
22 nations.
Yeah.
Yeah? 22 nations. Anyway, you were mentioning about this rail thing, yeah? And, it seems to me, my humble opinion of what's going on seems to be that the Kepalo has created one contest. Yeah?
Okay.
And the contest is this: who can bullshit more than the next person or the next organization, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Is it okay for... I'm sorry, I use kukai, but anyway. You have Obama's gang in Washington doing their thing, yeah?
Okay.
Then we have the rail people here doing their thing, yeah? And both programs, the people suffer, yeah? They got to pay for it. Yeah?
Yeah.
Bulaya contest, huh?
Okay.
And you know, when you're a small kid, yeah? I don't know, maybe you would live a little different life than I did, but there was always one person, at least in your group, that used to lie a lot. And nobody believed them, but they liked them. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
And it seems to be this is what's going on. The people stand for this. I mean, what I mean is, they applaud. It's almost like entertainment to them. And then they turn around coming election day, and they vote them in. One of the things of recent, of course, with the rail, they showed the recent purchases of properties on this route, yeah? The route to, on the rail, yeah?
Yeah.
And one of which of these properties is labeled Banana Patch. Now, you and I have been around enough to know that Banana Patch was Ota Camp. Remember Ota Camp?
A lot of chickens were running around there. Was that the case?
Yeah, a lot of chickens, all kinds of different things, yeah.
Okay.
But this particular partial is 9,800 square feet, and it was valued at $40,000. And Hart paid these people $220-something thousand for that partial. Now, since this is a public project, yeah, I would think that all properties that are in this public way would be purchased under eminent domain.
Yeah.
Which basically is a reduced value for the welfare of the general public. Yeah.
Palipo, hold that thought, okay? I need to take a very quick break. We'll be right back, but don't hang up and just hang on to that thought. We'll be off for maybe a few seconds.
Go ahead.
Hang on.
Mai ka elele o ka loko ino Pala pala anunu me ka paka Pane mai Hawaii moku o ke ave Koku ana honoa o Pilani Ka ko o mai kaua I o mano Pa'aku me ke oni o ka kuhi hewa Aolea e kau I ka pulima Maluna o ka pepa o ka enemi Po o hui ai nā ku ai hewa I ka pono sivila a o ke kanā